Here we are on a beautiful sunny morning for the second race at the Nürburgring, the final round of the 2018 GT4 European Series, and the stage is well and truly set. The only title that's been settled so far was settled yesterday when Nicky Leutwiler won the AM Championship. Plenty to play for, beautiful blue skies, nearly 18 degrees, humidity 53%, but track bone dry, so it's really a perfect playing surface for the 45, get that, 45 competitors will be starting this race. The grid stretches almost right the way to the control tower. Such is the number of cars. The tower of Nürburgring Castle stands proud, but Nürburgring Castle I should call it. But look, 143 points apiece for the two crews at the top. Will Tregertha and Stuart Middleton in their HHC Motorsport Ginetta, battling it out with Simon Knapp and Max Cobalt in their MDM BMW. Don't discount though the crew in third place, Milan Donci and Nikolai Moller-Madsen, just 10 points down. 25 points for a win, so plenty to play for. And just outside the reckoning, young Pierre-Alexandre Jean, who's been going so well in his CMR. First of all, CMR Ginetta, but more recently the Alpine, very much a star of the future. The racing was absolutely enthralling yesterday. 1 hour that every lap seemed like a highlights loop. So many things going on and some really fantastic overtaking. And I must at this moment just pick out Stuart Middleton for going around the outside to gain fourth place in the closing laps at turn 12. Not a corner where you normally get overtaking. He tried one lap, made it stick the next. But here's the wonderful view of this 16-turn circuit. 5.137 kilometers of fun and plenty of places where you can have a go at overtaking. Doesn't always work. Rises and falls, a bit like the Big Dipper built over the grandstands. But here's the starting order. We'll have Riccardo van der Ende starting first in the number 10 McLaren. Gabriele Piana, young Italian star, will be starting alongside in the 111. That's the RN Vision STS BMW. And then Reinhard Kofler in the best of the KTMs. He's a real star in that car. He'll start third. Great partner in Ferdinand Stuck. Mark Basseng, outside shot at the Pro-Am title. He'll be starting fourth, which is 6 places ahead of the championship leader, the Pro-Am championship leader, which is Marcus Lundstras, who had such a good run to class victory yesterday. But as you can see, the grid stretches way, way down to 44 cars. Lost one that was damaged yesterday, but an incredible spread of cars, spread of manufacturers, and just so much interest in GT4. And this has been the best season yet, the biggest grids, the best racing, the level of presentation continues to rise. And how's that for a beautiful car? The Street Art Racing 007 Aston Martin. You can't just have a number 7 on an Aston Martin, can you? And that's starting much better placed yesterday, and it's starting up the very sharp end of the grid. In fact, on row number 4, Julian Darras will kick that off. He shares with Pascal Bachmann, but Darras very much the fly driver in that car. But there's our pole starting McLaren, finished second yesterday. And really today, of course, you have the driver who started the race starting second today, so it's not Finlay Hutchinson who got that up to from 14th place to about 4th by the time he handed over to Riccardo van der Ende, and the Dutch veteran did the rest of the job. So the car on the outside, the front row, is Gabriele Piana. As I mentioned, he shares with Ravzan Umbarescu. That team going better and better, and it won yesterday's race. The sister car with Nico Menzel and Beitske-Visser. These BMW M4s really have found a happy hunting ground, been very impressive since their debut in the championship midway through last year. Quite a few teams moving over to adopt them, but good to see some staying true to the cars they've run for years. Moving across to True Racing on the inside of the second row. The number 22 car, Reinhard Kofler, will be kicking off today. There's the tall bearded figure of Ferdinand Stuck, third generation Stuck racer. Cars at the front of the grid in the shade of the grandstand. The pit garage is in the sunshine beyond. Now here's the car that's challenging for Pro-Am honours. Had a great race yesterday. In fact, really not a good race at all. Finished down in the 30-somethings after a few incidents. But this morning, Mark Basseng, the fly driver in that car, will be kicking off from 4th on the grid in that Porsche Cayman from Schweder Motorsport. Moving across to the next row of the grid, and you can see the bright car. Gilles Magnus, young driver, just moved across. He had a go in Blancpain, the first race of the season. Dragoon didn't at the last moment, but he seems to be settling into GT4. Just landed this weekend. Was racing Formula Renault last year, but really is showing very strong form for the Cellizla racing team. That's back on row number 4. He's alongside the Aston Martin we saw just a little bit earlier. now outside of row 5. Jules Simkoviak will start that, but his teammate in the 77 Racing 1 Audi is the one who could win the Pro-Am honours this morning, Marcus Lungstras. But this pairing has been very, very strong in the last 2 races since Simkoviak came over to join him. Simkoviak very well known from Blancpain GT Racing. But busy packed grid. And we're going to go down to Kota, and she's with the Ginetta from HHC Motorsport with Will Tregurtha.
Will, championship contender, now you're starting P17th. All the way down here, your main contender, Max and Simon, they're starting P9th. So how are you going to get from here past them?
Well, Ginetta's, we're rapid through the corners. So hopefully, by the end of the race, when everyone else's tyres have gone off, we should be all good. All the AM drivers have been in at the end of the race, so that's when we're hoping to sort of make up most of our time. Hopefully we don't lose too much at the start, because we've got a bunch of fast cars around us that might jump us into turn 1. But I mean, Stuart's done a great job yesterday, so we're going to see where we end up.
As you said yesterday, you finished 4th, so you'll be looking for a bit of a better result today. What do you think can be improved from yesterday to today? Yeah,
well, it's not easy. The Ginetta is way down on top speed compared to everyone else, but we're so much faster through the corners. So yeah, I mean, it's not going to be easy, but it's where we finish that matters, not where we're starting.
Now you're missing a bit of straight line speed compared to the BMW. Is that going to be a problem?
Yeah, it makes it a lot harder to overtake everyone, because they can just blast past us down the straights, whereas we can't exactly do that through the corners. But we're hoping to manage the tyres and try and race a lot smarter than everyone else around us.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Wise words indeed from Stuart Middleton, and you could see that yesterday. The car was coming better and better towards the end of the race, and Stuart Middleton, who'll be starting this morning, really was patient, but he was attacking, and he eventually got up to 4th place. But most importantly, it's not necessarily winning. It's about making sure that they match, or well, not more than match, just finish 1 place ahead of the MD at number 1 MDN Motorsport BMW, because that is the car with which they are equal on points. That's not exactly at the front end of the grid. There it is. It's down on row number 5, the inside of row 5. We've got to keep an eye on that, but the race is now along, and time after time yesterday, you can see the Ginetta just losing out in the straight line battle, so they really had to box very clever and grab any slipstream they could out of the final corner, turn 16, to use it down the straight, so they didn't lose too much ground. Here's the car that Jacob Scherber was starting, Lechner Racing Mercedes from the outside of row 6, and he is alongside the Pro Sport Performance Porsche Cable, one of 2 cars from the team that rose to 6th and 7th yesterday and then got disqualified. But BMW number 1, we've just had a little look at that. That is equal on points to the HHC Motorsport crew. Dakota's got Simon.
Simon, you're now starting P9. Your main competitor's over there in P17. I've just spoken to him. What's the plan for this race?
And the car is good, and we shall see, fingers crossed.
Do you know what side of the corner you're going to take for T1? Inside, outside? Have you spoken to Max about it?
Yesterday was outside the better one. We shall see. I don't know.
Not giving me too much. Good luck for your race.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thanks very much, Dakota. They are starting from the inside. That's the pit wall side, so naturally they'd be down the inside line into turn 1, but there's so many lines you can take, and you have to react to the cars around you. So he's fully aware that that will be Max Cobalt's job, and hopefully no damage down into turn 1. As you can see, as we look at the number 3 Audi, some fantastic race liveries, and certainly Phoenix Racing has 3 cars, and they all look magnificent, all totally different. And here's the car that won yesterday on the outside of row number 7 this morning, the number 110 BMW M4 from our Envision STS. Cars look fantastic, and certainly a really brilliant start by Nico Menzel, but some really sterling driving under huge pressure at the start of the final lap. Bates Kavissa had her 2 closest cars within a second of her, and they will try to overtake each other at turn 4, but she prevailed, and then at the end won by 1 enormous second, 1 very important second. But let's go back down to the grid, because Dakota has moved up to Audi number 5, and she's got Milan Dolce, who's in the overall title battle.
Milan, you're also in the championship contender. You've got to win this race, really.
Yeah, this is the only possibility. It's like the mission impossible. We really need to win, and otherwise we don't win the championship. So we have nothing to lose, so maximum attack.
Is there any sort of strategy for pit stops?
No, nothing. Just full throttle, full maximum attack, everything.
Good luck.
So very positive there. Milan Donci, he's starting from the inside of third row in that number 5 green and white Phoenix Racing Audi. And actually, it's sometimes a whole lot simpler. The other two teams in with the overall battle, we heard the HHC Motorsport crew, we heard from Will Tregurtha, and then likewise we heard from Simon Knapp. But they have to box clever. They've just got to race each other and leave everything else up to, well, leave no chances. Whereas quite simply, the Milan Donci car starting from row number 3 just has to go for victory. That's all they have to focus on. Still the shadow of the large grandstands on the approach to that vital first corner. As you can see, it's a wide stretch of track. There's a kink coming in just where the pit entry feeds out, pit exit feeds out onto the circuit. But let's take a ride, a moving ride, as the personnel clear the grid and look at this grouping of cars. When I say grouping, 44 cars spread across 22 rows, all the way back to just under the starting gantry. You can see that stretches across the track just before the race control tower, and just enjoy the spread of cars. On the right is the Alpine A110 that came on board this year and is proving very, very effective and certainly becoming a firm favourite already in the French GT Championship. BMW M4s, Audi R8 LMSs, Mercedes AMGs, Porsche Caymans. And so it goes on. KTM crossbows, you can see one on the right-hand side, the one behind the 110 BMW. Lid up, Arian on the driver, that's Heikki Angermeyer who'll be starting there. That's one of the true racing examples. And then on the left of the screen, the white and blue Ginetta, that is the one that's equal in the lead of the championship, alongside the number 9 metallic blue Chevrolet Camaro. And it seems we're missing the Academy Motorsport Aston Martin. That is not in its slot on the right-hand side of the grid. I'll take a note of that. And again, more varieties of liveries, more variety of drivers. We have silver group drivers, that's 2 pros. We have Pro-Am combinations, and we have AN. There is something for everyone. And a handful of drives are only for one driver. The driver will do both parts of the race. They won't get out during the pit stop. But again, it's just testament to the GT4 European Series. Launched as an idea a while ago, it became a concept and very much become a firm racing favourite, not just in Europe, but GT4 picking up all around the world, in Asia, in the United States, and national championships as well. It really is boom time, and look how gorgeous these cars look. McLaren's as well, you can see there's Lisette Brahms's Trefoil trading car, and the first time we've had a Ford Mustang, that's on the right hand of the grid. And there we are, right at the tail. So car number 75 in the penultimate position, that would be Maurizio Fondi, and alongside Gottfried Pilz. Expect the 24 Felbermeyer Reiter car to advance, because that was one that was given a punishment yesterday and put to the back of the grid accordingly. In fact, there were many notes from the stewards. And number 60, just heard news that will be starting from the pit lane. That was the one missing from the grid. There it is, the white, yellow and black Academy Motorsport Aston Martin. Shame that's not starting from the grid, because Matt Nicol-Jones can really make that car fly. He's doing the first half of the race and then handing over to Fiona James, but necessarily he'll be coming up behind all the others. I don't know if there was a problem they had to fix. They couldn't get before the pit lane closed, but come what may, it will go out racing, which is great news. Aston Martins have been with the GT4 Series right from the outset with their advantages. What's remarkable is the increasing level of performance of these GT4 cars. They're just getting quicker each year. The grid keeps growing, the quality of drivers, the calibre of the drivers, but also the ambition of the drivers is what keeps on growing. And you can see these cars look great, look fantastic in the paddock, brilliant in the track, and you're all set for an hour of absolutely solid racing action. Yesterday's was phenomenal, I would suggest. So there's Will Tregurtha. He'll do the second part of the race. Stuart Middleton will be doing the first half. All the drivers swap over from yesterday, and it's all about keeping that rival car, the number 1 MDM Motorsport BMW, that's starting 4 rows ahead of them inside. See how many places can be gained at the start of the stint. But as Will explained, that's a car that's light on its tyres, and as the others wear theirs out, they should come on stronger and stronger. And the Ginetta's performance through the corners is their only advantage, but they used it to great effect yesterday. So let's see if we have more of the same, or will the number 1 MDM Motorsport crew of Simon Knapp and Max Cobalt in their BMW come out on top, or the car that's starting ahead of both of them 2 rows further forward from the BMW is the Audi, being kicked off by Nikolai Moller-Madsen, and then the Phoenix Racing car will be handed over to Milan Donci. Those are the 3 crews all set to take a tilt at winning the 2018 GT4 European Series overall title, the Silver Cup title. So off the 44 cars set, well 43 cars were set. The Academy Aston Martin, you can see sitting at pit exit, will not do the formation lap. and will take the start when the others have all passed pit exit. It'll be a rolling start. Certainly yesterday it was quite a quick flick of the lights. They caught out the front row starters. They got absolutely swamped and then fought their way back up the order. So the track looked wide, but good thing the track is dry. No puddles on corners, no damp patches from any rain overnight. It was a slightly cloudy night, so it meant it wasn't too cold here in the Eiffel Forest. Rough at altitude of about 600 metres, and that certainly can bring its own weather formation. And racing goes on here deep into October, but seldom beyond. And those last races of the season for various championships here at the Nürburgring can often be weather affected. In fact, on Thursday here at the circuit, if they wanted to put cars on the track, they couldn't. Fog was hanging around all day. We've been lucky this weekend. Friday was dry, Saturday was even better, and today looks to be the pick of the pack. But at the moment for the drivers, it's all about focusing on this, their 12th and final race of the 2018 GT4 European Series. And we've got 3 crews gunning for glory in the overall title. In the Pro-Am battle, it's Jules Simkowiak's teammate who has the flying chance, Marcus Lundstrass. But let's take a look at the grid. Ricardo van der Ende will be starting the Equipe Vauxhall McLaren from pole position. Alongside him, he has the challenge of the RN Vision, Gabriele Piana, pedalled BMW. Moller Madsen and Doncha, look out for that. Car number 5 starting 5th on the grid. They're the outside chance for the overall title. We'll have to go back a few rows until we get to the next challenger there. 9th on the grid, the number 1 BMW from MDM Motorsport. That is the other title challenger, along with the crew that are a few places further back. Keep going further back. We have to go a couple more rows yet until we get to 17th place on the grid, where we will have the HHC Motorsport Ginetta. Just going through your shot, white and pale blue. Stuart Middleton will kick off in that and see how high he can advance. So he's almost down towards the middle of this grid. He's 17th, in fact he's a third of the way down the grid. We've got 44 cars coming out to play. Jordan Groger came into the championship in V8 Racing Camaro this weekend and already has started making a splash. So the South African really enjoying his transition. He's raced GTs quite a lot. He tried historic Formula 1 and now he's got his teeth into this one as well. A few new crews. Jack Motors, one of them, there in 27th on the grid. I think that we have 4 new crews this weekend, including the rumbling Ford Mustang from Motorsport 98, Eric de Donker. He had a little penalty, so he's been put back towards the rear of the grid, but he certainly made a great sound with his car yesterday, as would do the Chevrolet Camaros. They come down the start-finish straight. It's not as though the rumble of the Cedeslar Racing Team Mercedes it's not too bad either. So all sights, shapes, sounds down this grid. Find a few rows just being announced. We go all the way down to 44 cars. Louis-Philippe Soden pushed back a little bit with the penalty, likewise alongside de Donker. And one of the 2 Orlando Sport Porsches on the back row with Gottfried Pilz and Horst Feldmann Jr. They too have been put to the back. So 3 of the quick sort of midfield cars starting at the back, they would advance. But the big question is who is going to get the start right? Will it be Ricardo van der Ende on the left side as the field approaches us, or the right-hand side is from the driver's point of view? Beautiful weather. The Eiffel Forest stretched beyond. These cars need to come around in 2x2 formation. 43 of them on the track. The Academy Motorsport Aston Martin waiting to make it start from the pit lane. So this field needs to be close, 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 or some of them won't be round the final corner before the lights of the starting gantry swing out. Gabriele Piana, the young Italian, on the side closer to our cameras here in the MDM Motorsport, sorry, RN Vision. BMW, the McLaren over on the pit wall side. Ricardo van der Ende, he's had many a rolling start in his career. Looking at the red lights on the gantry, still red, can't see them, just waiting for the start to trigger, and off they go. It looks though it's a really good start from the McLaren. So yes, the Dutchman takes the lead. Gabriele Piana moves across to tuck in behind him. Looks like Reinhard Koffler's on the inside, but well, door rather left open to the driver making the gains is Nikolai Moller Madsen from 5th. He's coming out of the corner in 3rd place. That green and white Audi, very, very tidy move there. I don't know why the door was left open so much by Piana. That cost him. We're all clearly through the first couple of corners. Pierre-Alexandre Jean being given a push already. BMW with the black wings has spun him round, so the young Frenchman, well, nowhere to go and nowhere for those behind. I'm afraid we may be having a safety car, and I don't think there was anything that we couldn't see. Was that the number 1 that hit? We think it could have been one of the championship challengers. Oh, well, that's a disaster. The contact down into turn 3 there. Disaster for Pierre-Alexandre Jean, who was spun round. He's just outside the championship reckoning. See the Ginetta going through. That was equal on points with the number 1 BMW crew, but we think the number 1 BMW was the one that hit the Alpine and spun it round. If that was the case, it could be out of the race, out of the championship, with half a lap completed. You can see behind the number 47, Lechner Motorsport. Mercedes is sitting stricken there. Now, is there any damage to that number 1 BMW? Certainly it found a face full on the Alpine. Out front, though, let's just focus on that for the second. It's still the pole starter, Ricardo van der Ende, in the number 10 McLaren. All the field, cutting corners, just looking back to see the number 1 BMW, trying to spot any damage. Is this it limping up slowly towards us in the middle of the shot? I fear it. No, that's 37. It's one of the other cars. Right, they've slowed right down. They've picked up the signals from the marshal. Safety car coming out. So Ricardo van der Ende controls it. Out comes the safety car. Well, there's nothing they could do. They couldn't get those cars and all the debris cleared out of the exit of the Mercedes arena at turn 3. So it was inevitable. They go, and there is the number 1 BMW. It's pulled off at the side of the track, out of the championship reckoning. So we've got 2 teams rather than 3 now going for glory. You really have to feel for the MDM Motorsport crew. Max Cobalt, well, we'll take a look at the replays. He's got damage to the front left corner from the driver's point of view. And I fear that was the point at which it tipped this Alpine into a spin. Pierre-Alexandre Jean, the French teenager, climbs out. He'll be disappointed. He was 4th at the start of the... Well, he's more than disappointed. Leaping up and down with fury, hoping for a good result, but MDM Motorsport, just, what can you do? It was a dry stage, it was all there to play for. It was a 1-hour race, and unfortunately less than a minute into the race, the incident happened that took their challenger out of the race. The debris is going to be cleared as fast as they possibly can, and the teams will be on their radios, the drivers, just warning them. For those that were at the very front of the grid, they won't have seen what happened. Okay, let's take a look at the replay at the start. It was held, the cars are coming around, and then a really good start from Ricardo van der Ende. Gabriele Piano stayed in the middle of the track, and Reinhard Koffler said thank you very much, came up the inside, so did Milan Donche. Sorry, not Milan Donche, Nikolai Monomadsen, his teammate, up to 3rd place, and then challenging for all 3 cars going for 3rd place. Oh, well, he really had to feel. I mean, the number 1 BMW not involved at all, but by the time the Alpine had spun, he was left with nowhere to go, clipped the nose of it. The Lechner Racing Mercedes, number 47, in there as well. So the number 1, the driver, Max Cobalt, absolutely the innocent party. And, oh, dear, you really have to feel for Simon Knapp. Tears flowing, nothing can be done. You run a perfect season, you just get yourself in the championship reckoning, and they've really been building on that through the season. They took their first win last time out at Nürburgring, but they've just been super consistent, so many podiums for them. And through absolutely no fault of his or his teammate Max Cobalt, it was an unfortunate incident. They picked up the tail end of the accident. They are out of the championship. So championship leaders are now no longer equal championship leaders, but clear championship leaders, and that's the HHC Motorsport crew. And Stuart Middleton has risen with all that melee from 17th up to 11th place. There is the white and pale blue Ginetta, number 55. Suddenly it's come their way, and they're trying to clarify that down at HHC Motorsport, speaking to the drivers as well, speaking to the crew, doing the points permutations. But what they now need to know is that Nikolai Moller-Madsen had got up to 3rd, he's back down to 4th. He is the outside chance for the championship, 7 places ahead. That is the cut they have to aim for. Keep it in check. Should be at the front of this pack, not far ahead of the bright green and yellow Mercedes. Lost one of the V8 Racing Camaros as well. Didn't see which that was behind the barriers. So championship leader now has a little bit of breathing space, has a 10-point advantage. Needs to get in the points, because at the moment, let me just have a little think about that, 12 points will be going to the car in 4th place. So it would be victory. If they stayed as they were to the finish, which they won't, clearly, 55 minutes of racing remaining, the title would go to the car in 4th place, Nikolai Moller-Madsen and his teammate Indy Donche. But that's getting ahead of ourselves, because you can be sure that Ginetta will advance. Just needs to gain a couple of positions, and then it will be all even, gain 3 positions with no further gain for this. The number 5 Audi, and the title will be theirs. But as we saw yesterday, the racing went all the way to the final few metres of the circuit. Here's the championship as it stands. Will Tregurtha, Donche and Madsen are still in there. Tregurtha and Middleton not yet in a point-scoring position. That's as they stand, as they run around the circuit at the moment. But you can feel sure that Ginetta will be gaining places. So every place gained will stretch the advantage of the race-leading crew. But what can Moller-Madsen and Donche do? Yesterday they crossed the finish line, gained a couple of positions when there were disqualifications, but that only rose them boosted them to 6th place overall. They were actually 8th on the circuit, whereas the Ginetta did get up to 4th place. So the speed is there, definitely. Still the cars being cleared. The Lechner Racing Mercedes being winched off. It's a fair deal of damage because it was a tap to the rear, spin round for the little Alpine A110. Pierre-Alexandre Jean just had to watch several cars whacking into the bonnet of his little Alpine, and one of those was the car that was in a share of the championship lead, the #1 BMW. So really feel terribly sorry. There was an investigation for cars number 47 and 35. They're found to have done nothing wrong. On the left of your screen, it's very hard for a teenager to take in. His race is over when it was all looking strong. That was Pierre-Alexandre Jean, and you saw the white-helmeted Jacob Scherber walk in. Another look up the inside, and it's unfortunately it's Gabriele Piana, number 110, that spins him around. Great avoidance from the Aston Martin in behind, and really quite a few cars have picked up damage there as they were left with that logjam around the circuit. Some of that debris was given a little bit of a run over as well. So hard, the drivers had so few options as to where to put their cars. So an unfortunate start to the race. Both the drivers are fine, the two cars down there, but the Fury will be running high. And I'm afraid there might be questions asked about the push from what appeared to be Gabriele Piana in the number 111. BMW that made a poor start from the start of the grid. Now the drivers are, well, they're being told to keep off the circuit because of all the debris there. Some choosing to go onto the grass. Wise thing to be done. You can see they've already put the cement dust down to soak up some of the oil that necessarily was spilt, most likely from the little Alpine after that contact, front end contact, after the car was spun around. Still many shards down there that need to be brushed away off the circuit. Quite unusual to see drivers having to be flagged off onto the grass, but that's a way better option than running over. In fact, even on the grass, as they run there, you can see other shards being kicked up by the cars as they limp past. The safety car's still out. We'll still have 50 minutes of racing. I don't think it'd take a great deal longer to be cleared. And now the incident between car number 111 and 35. 35 was the Alpine and 111 was Gabriele Piana's BMW, which really appeared to come in and to spin the Alpine around as they turned into the tight left at turn number 3 on the opening lap of the race. That was the trigger, one feels, and the victim was Pierre-Alexandre Jean. And the person who lost even more was Simon Knapp and his teammate Max Kobel. Max was at the wheel, had nowhere else to go, hit the front of the spun around Alpine and picked up sufficient damage to remove itself from the race. And what a day for that to happen, coming into the race equal on points in the championship lead with the HHC Motorsport Ginetta, and now really absolutely through no fault of their own. No option as to where else they could go. The head-to-head contact, nose-to-nose contact with the little Alpine, and they are out of the race, out of the championship. And the results come through from the investigation. Drive-through penalty for car 111, Gabriele Piana, for causing the incident. Yes, the stewards agree with what I thought I saw, which was he spun the Alpine around. He will take the punishment, but really the punishment is far greater for the MDM Motorsport crew. Simon Knapp and Max Kobel out of the championship in the first reckoning. Fairly tidy first corner, looking at the replay. Ricardo van der Ende got through. Nikolai Moller-Madsen, number 5 Audi, went from 5th to 3rd. Gabriele Piana went a little bit backwards. He's running in 5th place at this moment. Alexandre Jean tries to dive up the inside of the Audi. Doesn't quite make it. Now, Audi's pushed the outside of the circuit, vying for 3rd place, side by side. And a good 2 car lengths back is the BMW, but it just keeps coming for a gap that, well, frankly, isn't there. Tips the tail of the Alpine around, just gets by, it comes around. Julian Darras did a fantastic job to get around the outside in the Aston Martin, but nowhere left to go for those behind. And in fact, you can see a number of other cars had side-by-side contact in avoidance, including the HHC Motorsport Championship leading Ginetta. So the safety car still running around. I don't think it'll be going around for a great deal longer. Running at the pace they are, going around at 3.5 minutes, it does give a fair amount of time for the marshals, as long as this field stays bunched up, to clear the debris on the circuit. So wave yellow flags around the circuit. Out of turn 1 into turn 2, they go up, rise in turn 2, then they drop down to turn 3. It's out of turn 3 they will find the debris, or hopefully in this case not. Car number 97, fairly new to the championship, joined quite late in the season, the Leicester Racing BMW. Now it looks like, yes, you can drive on the circuit. They've got a lot of dust down, but let's hope they've removed all the shards we saw last time around. Field having to literally come to a halt. So that's one of the Phoenix Racing cars. That's York Vebard, who's starting the bright yellow number 6, running in the Pro-Am class with John Louis Jasper. So this will make the lap time behind the safety car all the longer. We really need to get the field bunched up again before they can be released, because at the moment it's stretching out behind the safety car, which really isn't very fair for those at the tail of the field. They would lose a lot of ground if the safety car releases those in the front and they have to play catch up. Now it looks as though the procedure is starting to speed up a little bit. They've seen the track is clear and they can get on with their business. Can't wait to get the racing underway again. It was absolutely fantastic yesterday. The track is in perfect condition. It does seem it's all clear now down on the exit of turn 3. So looking forward to everybody getting out and about their business. There really was some sensational racing yesterday, must be said, right the way to the finish. Quite a lot of the crews put their pro driver, their superior driver, in second yesterday, and it does change the feature of the race. If you've got two drivers who are very evenly balanced, it means when you get the sort of less experienced driver up against you, you can really make hay while the sun shines, really make progress at their expense in the nicest way possible, of course. So this wonderful mix of cars, mix of liveries, mix of drivers, just champing at the bit, waiting to get going, still waiting for signal that sign that we're going to have the safety car coming in very soon. Looking forward to the racing starting. I think we've got everything off the track. So, just to run down the order behind the safety car, it's the McLaren at the front. It's Ricardo van der Ende driving for Keeper Shaw in that number 10. Still, well, more and more dust you can put down. As you can see, still a little bit of debris being blown off the circuit by the leaf blower. Reinhard Koffler in second place in the KTM. Gabriele Piana, but he's got a drive-through penalty. He's third, so he'll have to serve that drive-through. Well, the team can choose, but they've only got a number of laps on which they can do it. That will elevate Nikolai Moller-Madsen, the number 5 championship challenging Audi, up to third place. Mark Basseng, he's leading the Pro-Am class, but he's only 2 places ahead of Julian Darras. Between them they've got Gilles Magnus. So what we will have, of course, when 111 does that drive-through, that will add some more points to the Donche Madsen thing, bringing them up to just 1 point behind. They've gained 3 extra points by getting up a position. They'll be 1 point behind Jugurtha and Middleton. Let's keep an eye on those points through the race. Don't forget, we've got the driver change coming up somewhere between 25 and 35 minutes into this race. It's a 1-hour race. We've had 2 points, be 2 points behind, of course, just to take my shoes and socks off, and that would, of course, elevate Jugurtha and Middleton to 1 point for 10th. They're running 11th at the moment. No, it's always complicated to work out these points, and let's keep on top of them through the course of the race. 25 points for a victory, 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1. If you can keep up, I can't. Down to 10th place overall. So the top 3, the BMW just going through your shot is the one that has a drive-through penalty to serve. What is going to unfurl? We should have 3/4 of an hour of racing. Look, no marshals around the area. They've got enough cement dust down. Waiting for a signal to come onto the street. We really need the field to bunch up a little bit more. It's the ones at the tail who could lose out, because of course behind the safety car things can concertina in a negative way if someone is a little backing off the car in front of them. So white and pale blue seems to be the colour of choice this weekend. Certainly the Keeper Shaw McLaren 570S, driven by Ricardo van der Ende at the front of the field, bears that colour scheme, and a few cars, about 10 cars further back, Stuart Middleton, the HHC Motorsport Ginetta. So there's the signal that we're looking for. Safety car in at the end of this lap. It's a job of all the drivers to get as close as they can to the car in front. Do not lose out. There is the championship leader in the middle of the pack. Well, not in the middle, he's 11th, and we've got about 44 cars running. 42 cars running, because we've lost the MDM Motorsport, the championship equal leader when we came into this morning's race. I feel really, really sorry for Simon Knapp and Max Coble. Not their fault, taken out. Always the danger if you haven't qualified incredibly well. They weren't that far back, they're only on the 5th row. But someone else's accident is their misfortune. At the restart, look to see. Well, I don't suppose we're going to have a dive into the pits. We probably have to do another lap for Gabriele Piana. comes in to serve his drive-through penalty. Now, looking forward from YouTuber Felix von der Laden's McLaren for Team GT, getting quicker and quicker and absolutely loving his transition to racing, certainly bringing more fans into the championship. So now the field coming down out of turn 12 to the right-hand kink at turn 13. The drivers have done exactly as they're supposed to. They're getting as close as they can to each other. Jules Magnus in 6th place needs to just close the gap a little bit. The safety car will peel off. There's the championship. Clear leader now, but in 11th place, not yet in the points. The 55 HHC Motorsport. Ginetta down in 11th place overall. Will Tregurtha looking on. What's his teammate going to do? This is a good opportunity to try and gain a place or two, but as we can see, that comes with risk as well. Every overtaking manoeuvre has its own merits, time, place. Not looking as though he's going to drop the hammer just yet, but it's gameplay from Ricardo van der Ende. I'm just walking on tyres. No, I'm not. I'm flooring the throttle. So he's Gabriele Piana has dived in straight away to serve the drive-through penalty. I wasn't sure he was able to do that, but he has done so. Reinhard Koffler moving to the pit wall side, trying to make sure there's no slipstream available for Nikolai Moller-Madsen and the Audi. The first three making a bit of break. Mark Basseng in 4th, Jules Magnus in 6th. Obviously, straight line speed isn't an advantage at all for Stuart Middleton in the Ginetta, so he wasn't going to gain down into turn 1, but he did have a little look for an overtaking manoeuvre. But the first three, not as they were, because of course 111 BMW has pulled in for a drive-through penalty, but Nikolai Moller-Madsen trying to take 2nd place now from Reinhard Koffler. And there's the championship leader, Stuart Middleton in the Ginetta. I think he might have picked up 1 position. I can't do my counting right now because it's all going on the screen. Now the points are updated. There we are. 3 points clear at the moment. 151 playing 148. We'll keep an eye on that. Simon Knapp and Max Coburn looks as though they're in the championship reckoning with 143, but they're out of the race. I'm afraid that's all their score will be. So very, very cruel form for them, it must be said. Not their fault. Out of the championship, out of the race. And for Hutchinson and van der Ende leading the race, they can't rise any higher than 4th and 5th overall, but they can take the pride. And already van der Ende showing how much pride he has as he pulls ever further clear at the front of the field. Controls the restart very well indeed. There's a couple of BMWs really getting out to play just by Bajnskovica, Pavel Lefterov. Then comes Jules Simkowiak, who's now up to 3rd. He's actually in 4th place in the Pro-Am class, being harried very, very hard indeed out of turn 12. That was a corner where Stuart Middleton went around the outside to take 4th place yesterday afternoon. You don't see other people overtaking there, but the Ginetta just so handy around the twisty stuff, but definitely loses out every time they get to a straight. So how's this little battle going to shape out? I think a lot of patience is required at this stage. Pit window opens in just over 5 minutes time. Oh, waiting for no further chances, and Simkowiak actually very gentlemanly seen his position. He's not fighting against Middleton. He's fighting for Pro-Am honours. Middleton is fighting for overall points. So the Ginetta goes through, and already the drivers, that's Milan Donci starting to suit up. So it looks like he's going to do a longer stint than Nikolai Moller-Madsen. Madsen, though, very, very busy at the moment. Again, you can see the Ginetta's lack of straight line speed, having passed the red and black Racing One Audi. It almost managed to get it again by the end of the start-finish straight, but you get to twisty stuff, and this is where the Ginetta really, really makes its mark. So leading the way by just over 2 seconds at the end of that first flying lap after the restart. Ricardo van der Ende 2 seconds clear, then just 0.4 of a second back to Nikolai Moller-Madsen in 3rd place. As you can see, the field really, really closes behind. 2, sometimes even almost 3 abreast as they go out of turn 4 down to turn 5 as the track starts dropping down to the hairpin, the lowest point of the circuit. Now here's the passing manoeuvre. It wasn't so much leaving the door open, it was just simply that Middleton was coming through and his car could turn in much, much more sharply than the Audi. That is Will Tregurtha, helmeting up. He's naturally just marginally quicker than Stuart Middleton. Middleton, though, drove a sensational race yesterday afternoon. But Tregurtha is clearly they're going to bring that car in as soon as they possibly can by those things to give Tregurtha the run to the finish. Pit window opens in 4 minutes' time. So race order is still Ricardo van der Ende leading by 2 seconds. Reinhard Koffler's KTM second. Nikolai Moller-Madsen in his Audi is third. Leading the way in the Pro-Am class, Mark Basseng in his Porsche Cayman in fourth. Fifth place, Gilles Magnus really making a splash on his GT4 debut. Julian Darras going very well indeed in his Aston Martin in sixth place. There is the Aston Martin. In behind is Beitske Visser, yesterday's race winner, sharing with Nico Menzel, and she's got right under her tail Pavel Lefterov. Stuart Middleton is now up to 9th, looking if any further place gains. No, he's got to advance onto Lefterov's tail. Lefterov is the second of the BMWs behind that Aston Martin. Aston Martin with Darras on board, not giving it any gap in the door. And we've got, it looked like Mark Basseng coming into the pits, certainly one of the Porsche Caymans. Whichever one it was. No, I don't think it was Basseng. It was one a little further down the order, but that will scupper its chances. It's not a regular pit stop. That's a pit stop for a problem or someone serving a drive-through penalty. And I'm afraid we have more contacts, more cars going around, but, well, when you've hit once, hit twice, so that's out of the hairpin at the bottom of the hill, and the Porsche delayed. Oh, now it's all really kicking off. Number 3, Audi, tipped into a spin. That was Cedric Freiberghaus going around. The 76 Porsche has gone off after a further hit by the looks of things. Alessandro Giovanelli, and he's got the 2 blues on the Felbermeyer Proton, Felbermeyer Reiter. Gottfried Pilz-driven KTM that started at the back of the grid. That was making its way up the order. Good to see the 76 Porsche back running all over again, but it seems there's a fair bit of what we like to call shenanigans out there. But unfortunately, a big loser there was the number 3 Audi. So Gozia Rades, the Polish racer, will not get her run today because her teammate Cedric Freiberghaus has pulled that off the side of the circuit. The car is injured. Second and third, Koffler in the KTM. Third is Nikolai Moller-Madsen, challenging for championship honours, doing everything he can to squeak every point he can out of this race, knowing that several places further back, in fact six places further back, is Stuart Middleton in the Ginetta. Now let's take a look at what's going on here. Look for the orange-nosed BMW coming down, deciding at the last minute to dive up the inside, but couldn't turn further across because the number 6 Audi was looking there for Phoenix Racing, as a consequence clattered the side of the 76 Porsche. Now what happened beyond here? This is what I want to see. Oh, I'll have you, I'll bounce into your side. Off they go, all looks okay. Then Gottfried Pilz is squeezed in the blue KTM, spins around one of the Allied Racing Caymans, and along with the 76 Porsche goes to the side. And that was not Pilz's fault. He was left absolutely the meat in a sandwich, and I would say very unfortunate that the 71 BMW, Paolo Meloni, W&D Racing Team, changed his line and found he couldn't go any further to keep out of the way. Number 3 Audi minding his own business. It was a real game of consequences there. I'd say about 4 different incidents, and the number 3 Audi was the one that lost out the most. So the battle for second still tight. They're now 4 and a bit seconds down on the race leader, but there's a bit of a gap now opening out between Reinhard Koffler in that number 22 KTM and Nikolai Moller-Madsen, who's keeping him safe, keeping him honest, but not yet challenging him. Has dropped back a little bit. Again, you can see that Stuart Middleton still in 9th place, can't keep up with Pavel Lefterov. He's 2 and a bit seconds down, and the gap is not closing. He hasn't managed to shake off Jules Simkowiak in the Racing 1 Audi. Pit window will be open very soon indeed. And the incident between car number 71 and 76 at turn 1 under investigation. Well, there's not too much of a surprise there. 2 cars we saw, the BMW from W&D Racing and one of the 2 Autolando Sport Porsche 911s. Oh, Nikolai Moller-Madsen really kicking up the dust of the Schumacher S's on the rise up from turn 8, the hairpin at the lowest point on the track. And gradually you'll see through the race that it gets more and more gravel kicked across to the left-hand side of the circuit, and that could catch drivers out. It's certainly there. You saw a few drivers having a wobble on it as the race progressed yesterday. After the race, of course, it'll all be swept off all over again. Mark Basseng, there he is. The number 13 Schrader Motorsport Porsche Cayman driving very, very well indeed, but no disrespect to his teammate, but once Philippe Bethke gets on board, the pace will drop away. But now we really have a serious challenge for second place. Pit window open, we'll see who dives in early. It might be the Ginetta that comes in. It's running 9th. We'll look to see if that flashes into the pit lane, but certainly the first 4, 5, 6, 7 cars have not gone to the pits. I think one of the BMWs might have done. No, in fact, what we've had is we lost the Gilles Magnus cars. That dived into the pits. Yes, it has. The green and yellow car, Baz Schuten will be given a good run in that, and the Celestar Racing team blinks first. And then the Phoenix Racing Audi, the bright yellow car, the Ottosan Motorsport BMW likewise dives the pits early on, because Ali Turkan will take that over from Geddes, and he certainly goes very well indeed. The door's left slightly open. Well, I suppose it's left open if the driver behind decides to go on the grass, and that's exactly what Nikolai Voller-Madsen did out of turn 3. But by the time they exit turn 4, it's still the KTM in front in the second place.